life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And I have found that to be completely true for me. You know, when I fly off the handle, or I just, take it by force or whatever, I'm finna go make this happen, instead of just kind of letting it play out. Usually I make a bigger mess. I think, and this is going to sound very religious, and I don't mean it to be that way, but I do think there has to come to a place where you trust God, right? Mm-hmm. Good, bad, or ugly, whatever's happening. Okay, I wanted this to take place. It's not happening right now. I can get mad about it, or I can just say, all right, maybe I need to sit still right now. Maybe God's got something else in mind. If we know He's our Father and He loves us and He's got great things planned for us, I think maybe we need to learn to get to a place of, okay, maybe this is a divine interruption of our plans.
So welcome back to Out of the Desert podcast. I'm Bryan Evans, joined by Ryan Herrington. And as you may have noticed, there was no episode last week. And, sometimes you can have the best plans in the world and either your internet doesn't want to cooperate, or maybe you forget to lose a cord or leave a cord behind that you needed, which is the case this time. Both of those things, actually, in two separate instances. And then sometimes life just gets kind of chaotic and busy, and that's not always a bad thing, right?
No, it's not a bad thing. It's I think we both have been running like crazy the last couple of weeks, and thankfully we were able to make some time to get our other episodes filmed in person. But yeah, these last couple of weeks have been crazy, man. I mean, running, and we're up here, I guess, on a Saturday recording. Everybody else is taking off because we don't want to skip another week, but we're having to do this because of me. So I'll take the blame. It's me. It's all me. So, but it's a good me. It's a good reason. There's no such thing as a good me. There's a good reason. Tuesday, better get that right because we're recording. Tuesday is my wedding anniversary. And so we are going to Disney World because we never miss a chance to go to Disney World. We love Disney World. Been taking the girls there their whole life. Jackson has went his whole 4 years. We just love it. We took the jump this time, became season pass holders, which at that point, like if you're going to spend the money, like you got to go. It's kind of like going to a buffet, right? It's like you're full after the first plate, but I paid way too much to only eat one plate. So I've got to eat, 2 or 3 more. And then you're having to wheel me out of there. But at least I got my money's worth. That's kind of the way it is for Disney. So I think any chance we get to run down there, we are running. And so we'll be down there a couple of days. And coincidentally, that was going to mess up with our schedule. We was going to try to record and get together. So anyhow, yeah, beyond going to Disney World, we both have been very busy. The company's been really busy. I think I've given you like 42 things to do. Like, hey, can you fix this? Hey, can you develop this? Hey, can you develop this new onboarding thing for our company? Hey, can you revamp the website to talk about us going to Tennessee? Hey, can you come up? So, and thankfully, as always, dude, you're also like, yeah, I can do that. Yep. No problem at all. Yep. Absolutely. We can make this work. Hey, can you help us? We got the
website, all the new websites launched, so that's good at least.
See, there we go. Hey, I got this idea. We're going to launch a brand new position in our company. What do you think? Oh, that's great. Okay, great. Well, let's give it a few days. 5 documents I've come up with of how we're going to make this position work. Like, okay, dude. Awesome. Yeah. I think we've picked up 4 more schools in the last week and a half. Far away from Donaldsonville and Waycross, Augusta area. So it's been wild, dude. But a good thing. Good thing for sure. So I'm glad we can get this in today. You're rocking the jumbo shrimp of Jacksonville. I'm rocking my Auburn Tigers, War Eagle. You know, so
you know,
come on, dude, come on.
It's not Alabama, but at least, you know.
It's not Alabama. You know, it's not. No, hate Alabama.
So going with the theme of things not always working out the way you expect them to, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about that today because that's one theme of coming out of the desert. Sometimes we've touched on it before a little bit, but you can have the best plans in the world to think you got all the answers. And I know I sure did. And then sometimes things just happen, sometimes good, sometimes bad, that just throws it off track. And so I guess kind of the question is, when that happens, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure who to attribute this quote to, but it's a famous quote. When I say this, I think everybody's probably heard it before. I've always was told that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And I have found that to be completely true for me. You know, when I fly off the handle, or I just, you know, take it by force or whatever, I'm finna go make this happen, instead of just kind of letting it play out. Usually I make a bigger mess. You know, I think, man, the biggest thing is, and this is going to sound very religious, and I don't mean it to be that way, but I do think there has to come to a place where you trust God, right? Like, good, bad, or ugly, whatever's happening. Okay, I wanted this to take place. It's not happening right now. I can get mad about it, or I can just say, all right, maybe I need to sit still right now. Maybe God's got something else in mind, you know, and if we know He's our Father and He loves us and He's got great things planned for us, you know, I think maybe we need to learn to get to a place of, okay, maybe this is a divine interruption of our plans, or maybe it's just life, you know. I think maybe everything doesn't have to have a great big significance, but yeah, I think for me, I think it's just, do you trust God or not? If you do, then whatever's coming, listen, whatever you're dealing with, He's not shocked by, He's not surprised by. You know, God's wasn't up on a throne one day going, oh my gosh, can't believe they're going through that. I mean, you know, like He knew it was coming before you did. You know, He even knew you was going to mess it up before you messed it up. I think the start of it is trust, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And with that too, like we lean a lot into like what we've done to mess things up. And of course that's part of a lot of people's stories. There are things I did that weren't right. There's things that you mentioned that you did that you wish you'd done differently. But the reality is, like, sometimes things just happen to you. Like, you had no control over them. It's not something you did to get you where you are. And I think we said many times before, life just happens. And so I think it makes it a little bit harder in some ways, because then, like, who do you blame? Like, who do you point to and say, hey, you did this? Like, and that can be hard to wrap your mind around sometimes and to cope with sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you and I both have said this separately. You know, we were kind of raised in a theology, or at least a religious mindset, to think that everything happens for a reason, you know, and if something bad's happening, there must be sin in your life, you know, or you ain't got no faith, because if you had faith, you wouldn't be dealing with that, you know, and I think that stuff kind of gets in you, especially if you come from more of a religious background, that it's very hard just to let things happen, because you're spending time trying to figure out, what does this mean? What does it mean if this happens? What does it mean if that happens? Why am I going through this? Did I mess up? I need to look inside of myself and figure it out. And truly, sometimes I have finally learned and found a lot of peace in this, of just understanding that life truly happens. And life is crazy. It's up, it's down, it's messy, it's beautiful. You know, there's moments you hate, there's moments that you couldn't script, good, bad, or ugly. And I think the beauty of life is when we take our hands off the steering wheel. Right, I'm seeing Carrie Underwood right now. You know, Jesus, take the wheel. You know, she sings a lot better than I just try to do. But anyway,
much better.
Well, shut up. I voted for her on American Idol. I just love Carrie Underwood. Take your hands off the wheel and let's just go. Let's see where we go. I don't think everything happens for a reason. I think God can use everything that happens in our lives to help us or to teach us something or to move us in a direction one way or the other. But I don't necessarily think that, somebody cutting you off at McDonald's before you was able to order at the drive-thru happened for a reason. I don't think if, can I just say this? Why in the world do McDonald's have 2 drive-thru windows now or 2 drive-thru speakers? Can I just get on a soapbox real quick, dude? Like, they're why? Just as low. Either one of them hardly ever works, or if you do get in both of them, like the one closest to the building, which is always the one you want to get in, they'll take 3 orders before they realize, oh, that guy's over there in the back end. He's back end of the desert. Can I take your order? I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'm hungry anymore. I mean, you've already taken 5 orders. That's a whole other ball game there. But I mean, are we going to sit there and try to figure out, well, why did this happen to me? No, it just happened. Life just happened. Life is beautiful. I guess we could talk about, well, maybe the Lord knew if you got that, there was a wreck, 2 blocks over, you'd have been in it. And there may be truth to that at times, but I think there's peace in just saying it's okay to make plans. It's okay I think you have to. That's just part of being disciplined and organized. Maturity. But I do think, especially if you're a believer, those plans have to kind of bow down to the Lord. And so whatever is going to happen is whatever's going to happen. What was it Jesus that said, why do you make plans about tomorrow when tomorrow is not even promised? So I don't think he was saying just do whatever you want to do, but I do think it's just a reminder of everything's not going to go the way you want it to go. And when it doesn't, don't lose your mind over it. Maybe have a response, but lean into it and see what there is to learn and experience.
One thing I thought about the other day is just thinking through this very concept is like every sports team goes into the game with a game plan. They have a plan for how this thing's going to go. Of course, their plan is to win. They're planning to do, especially football. I know I've watched some kind of thing about how quarterbacks read defenses, everything, and how they game plan for that. And they'll have like whole drives scripted out and set with the way they want to run things. But if they get into a 3rd and 2, when it should have been another first down, then they got to kind of change things up a little bit. Yeah. Sometimes you got to just go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we got this plan. It looked a great plan, but things are different. It's different circumstances. Things not going to work out the same way as we thought it was going to.
Look, sometimes you got to be Peyton Manning and you've got to get to the line of scrimmage and yell Omaha, right? Omaha. I mean, that was his thing, right? He got to the line of scrimmage and he's like, oh, I don't like this. Omaha. I'm like, I don't know where Omaha came from, but thank you, all the people in Omaha, great people. I'm sure you are. But apparently to Peyton Manning, that meant change, do something different. I think that's a perfect analogy, dude. We all have a game plan, and I think we have to have a game plan. I just think we also have to not take it so ironclad and serious because we don't know what tomorrow holds. And even I said this, I think you said the same thing in your story. I couldn't have scripted my story where I am right now. If you'd asked me to imagine my life 5 years later, 10 years ago or 10 years later, man, I wouldn't have come up with this. I wouldn't even have the capacity to come up with what God has blessed me with and done in my life. And I think when we try to hold on so tight to things sometimes, I think we're taking the creativity away from the Lord. And he's saying, hey, I mean, the Bible says, I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you a hope and a future and to prosper, not to harm you. Psalms 139, one of my favorite chapters in all the Bible, talking about all my thoughts for you are more numerous than the sand on the shore. Listen, there's a God that thinks that much about you and me. He loves us enough to send his son. Let's trust him, right? I mean, he's got a plan. He knows the end from the beginning. He can figure this out better than Ryan can, and I think that's a big thing just to trust.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's something, even people who aren't Christians, who don't go to church, that's a concept you can either take with yourself too, because there are people in your life you can trust. you can't trust everybody with the same amount. Like there are different levels of trust. I think Dr. Henry Cloud and some other people have talked about that in extensive formats. But it is important to find people that you can trust, that you know is going to have your back, you know is going to be there for you when you need them. Just you have in your corner. So it's very important to have those people in your life that you can call up and say, hey, I'm going through this right now. I don't know what to do. I need to call Audible. I need to call Omaha. So what do you think? Where should I go from here? But find 2 or 3 people that you know you can trust, that you know has your best interests at heart too. And ask them sometimes. Sometimes it's good to have an extra pair of eyes on the situation. I think back to, I'm not so much a fan now. I used to be a NASCAR fan. And every driver has a spotter whose only job is to see where the driver is, what's around them, and maybe sitting in the driver's blind spot that they don't see, where if they try to dive down low to take the position, they could crash themselves out and wreck.
Right.
See, this philosophy, this principle, even if you're not a Christian, this definitely something you can apply and you can use. And it's not easy. Like I've read, it's taken a long time to get to where I am, where I even have some friends. Because I was always a loner growing up. But
yeah, me too. I'm still a loner.
I am to a degree, but I'm doing better. I'm getting there. I've got a few friends I know I can call.
I think I may have like 4 friends. Maybe more.
That's more than 2 or 3. So you're good.
Yeah, we're getting somewhere. No, I think you're right. This isn't a spiritual thing necessarily. More than anything, if we're going to survive in life is going to have pitfalls. There's going to be mountains, there's going to be valleys. Sometimes there's a desert between. Sometimes you walk into the desert because that's just life. Sometimes somebody drops you in the desert. Sometimes you made some decisions that led you into a desert. And then at some point, you'll come out the other end. Life just has all of those ups and downs. And I think the biggest thing is, like you were talking about, Brian, is there are people that from a third party, so to speak, can look in our lives and see things that we're blind to. We get emotionally charged about things, or we get focused on this one thing that happened and we're feeling it internally and it's hard to kind of move past it. But somebody on the outside can look into it and say, yeah, I know that hurt, but think about the ramifications of how you're going to respond to that. I do think, having those individuals that can speak into our lives, and just kind of give us a balance of, hey, if this doesn't work, it's okay. Your life's not over. It's going to be okay. I think we all still tend to have that teenage mentality, right? When you're a teenager and something goes wrong, my life is over. I'll never get over this again. Or you have your first breakup, like I'll never love again. And then like 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, how you doing? It's like you just kind of move on, and I think sometimes we have that ability in life. The longer we go, sometimes we kind of revert back to this. Like life is supposed to do this, and this happened, and I don't understand. I just want to throw my hands up. And if you are religious, and obviously, we're like you heard me say, trust God. Like He's got a plan. He's moving in the right direction. Whether this again something that you did, something that happened to you, something somebody did to you, He's going to guide you on that. If you're not a believer, hey, find the people around you that you can trust, and welcome that outside third party viewpoint of, hey, it's going to be okay. It's kind of walk through this. I'll tell the story real quick. Talking about life happening in a way that you didn't think that you wanted or needed. We mentioned earlier, we wouldn't have written this story for ourselves. But man, we'd have missed out on so much because I didn't have the capacity to write it. Probably a great example of this is my son being born. When my wife and I got together, I was in my mid-30s, 3 years away from 40, 4 years away from 40, old, decrepit, cartilage in your knees are going out, all this kind of thing.
Where I am right now.
And we get married. Yeah. It only gets worse. I've heard if you drink a gallon of water a day, your cartilage gets better. I don't know if that's true. So I'm trying that right now. The only thing that I have figured out is my kidneys work really, really well right now with this much water intake. And so Probably more information everybody will know. But anyway, drink water is good for you. It'll help your life. But when Rachel and I got married, she was told she couldn't have kids. Then I had two, I have Riley and Charlie, and I'm like, this is perfect because I didn't think I really wanted any other kids. Didn't want to have another baby. My hospital stuff and doctor stuff and blood and passing out stuff and labor don't really go very well with any of that. Not that it's all about me, but I've got to be there and I want to be there. But it's like, we've got the medical stuff behind us. Let's just enjoy life. And then of course, Rachel wants a baby and we pray about it. And sure enough, she gets pregnant. Jackson was born on November the 9th, 2021. Which ironically, Rachel and I had our first date on November the 9th, 2017. So literally 4 years from our first date. When I told her she looked like a girl that liked ice cream, we had a baby. So there is hope for you. Like if you have a bad game and your pickup lines are terrible, 4 years later, you could be a father. So keep kicking on. It could work for you. But yeah, we end up having Jackson. And dude, I'll tell you, when we found out we were pregnant, I was like, oh no, I don't, I was against having a baby. I love babies. Very much pro-life and support kids, love kids. But I just didn't want to go through all that again. And then when we found out we were pregnant, I was thinking, well, I want a little girl because the world don't need another me, And so, and then I'd raised two girls. So I felt like, okay, I kind of know a little bit what I'm doing. Maybe not everything, obviously. Then we found out it was a boy and I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do with a boy? I'm like, well, obviously you get to relive your childhood. This is going to be great. And I didn't think, Ryan didn't think I needed another a kid. Ryan didn't think he needed a son, but God's up there going, yeah, you planned on just getting married and having Riley and Charlie and a wife and living happily ever after. And I've got something else for you that you're going to need. And now 4 years later, my little buddy is 4 years old, just a little over 4 years. The light of my life. I'm telling you right now, that little joker has a hold on my heart that I didn't know anybody could ever have a hold of. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without him. God knew I got my girls like 40% plus or minus every year, depending on holidays and stuff like that. And I love being a daddy, and being a full-time daddy is everything to me. And having Jackson has allowed me to be the full-time daddy 100%. That little joker's with me, and it's healed. It helped heal me in ways I didn't know I needed to be healed, and it helped me overcome things. It's helped soften me some. It's also helped make me more determined in ways I didn't realize I needed to be. And now, dude, I'm telling you right now, I mean, I would fight the world if somebody messed with my boy. I mean, that's my buddy, my partner in crime. He speaks like The Rock in third person, which is hilarious. And he'll also tell you what you want to do all the time, So, he'll, like, Daddy, he needs some juice. Well, who's he? He's talking about himself. He's like, I'm speaking in third person. You're supposed to know. And then, like, he'll come up, Daddy, you want to go upstairs and play? I'm like, I do. I'm feel pretty good right here sitting in my recliner, And it's like, nah, Daddy, you want to go play upstairs? Like, all right, then. Well, I guess we're finna go play upstairs. Just hilarious, smart as a whip. I mean, just smart as a whip. I know little boys are supposed to be prettiest little boy you ever seen in life, sweetest little boy, just the most tender heart. My partner in crime, we do everything. Rachel says we start stuff all the time. We start new games and we laugh and cut up and play, just my entire heart. And that little boy has done more for me than almost anything else since I've come out of my desert. And I cannot imagine my life without him. Ryan's story was written in a way that he would have never been here. And God is looking and going, I know what you need. I'm your father. I'm going to give you a son. Man, I'm so glad he did. Again, life happens. We have our plans. And I think, on the spiritual side, if we're going to be believers, man, I think we have to lay those plans in the Lord's hand and say, guide me and lead me. I would say cautiously, don't overreact to everything that happens. Every bad thing does not mean you don't have faith. Every bad thing in your life does not mean you sinned. Every bad thing in your life is not the enemy. Everything is not spiritually supercharged. Everything that happens in my life that's sometimes bad does not mean there's a lack of faith, for me, or that the enemy's after me. Sometimes life just happens, and sometimes life is ugly, and God is sometimes in that, bringing us in and out of things and seeing things. And if you're not a believer, I think it's just a matter, again, of just recognizing that there are going to be those ups and downs of life. And it is. I'll go back to what we kind of started with, and I think this is true. I do really believe that life is 10% of what happens to you, 90% how you respond, because you can let that one thing derail you, or you can let that one thing just be a blip in the radar that you learn from, and keep going. And so I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's getting to a place of trust the process, right? Let things kind of play out, try to stay even keel, try to keep a good attitude, make plans, be open to change. And roll with it. Roll with it. Life is a lot funner when we just kind of run with it. There's times to be real serious, and then I think sometimes we can just kind of say, okay, let's see what happens.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I hope today's episode has helped you out, whatever stage you're in life. Maybe you're sitting in your car right now listening to this, and you're saying, well, I had nobody around me. So I would say if you feel that way, like you don't have anybody around you, find somebody that you feel close to, that you can trust and rely on. And just give them a phone call and say, hey, I need somebody in my life. Like, I need to talk to you about some stuff, or whatever the case may be. And if you are faith-based, if you're a believer like we are, just put things in God's hands. I mean, the Bible says it over and over again. You can trust it. You can take it to the bank, and He's going to see you through whatever situation you're in.
Absolutely.
So if you enjoy this episode, make sure you like and follow us, subscribe to our podcast wherever you're watching. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about this video. If you have anything to add to that, feel free to add below. As of course, visit our new website. Same URL, thejoshuatree.org/out-of-the-desert, and let us know your story. The form's still there. You can share your story with us. We read every single one of those, and we may talk about some on here if it's something that you want us to talk about at some point. So let us know what your story looks like, and thanks for watching.